Hello gorgeous! Here are all the things that help me lose weight, maintain it, clean up my diet naturally, and feel amazing in 1 week, whilst still eating sweets and whatever I want. And I always want sweets. So before I could do all of this in 2 or 3 days and I would be back to my goal, I've never been stronger, I've never been healthier. Disclaimer, I am not a health professional. This is simply my experience. Stay until the very end because this is a lot of information and will not make sense if you skip around. I'll have a whole summer body prep series, so subscribe and click the bell. Tell all your friends, watch this several thousand times. It's 100% free. The first episodes are health-centric, whilst the latter are focused on aesthetics, such as getting rid of cellulite and topical skincare. You need to nail the first part to get maximum results of this summer body prep, because putting bronzer on my jiggly stomach to look like I have abs is not the same as having actual abs. You have to put in the work. First, nail the fundamentals. Sleep well, eat properly, exercise. This will get you very far and has so many benefits to every aspect of your life. I don't use a scale to determine how I want to look and feel because my mass is not the best gauge for that in my opinion. You can be strong, weigh a lot, and look tiny. A lot of people who are toned are like this. They look lean, but the scale says they have more dense muscle mass versus fat and water. For me, it's the feeling in my body and cognition. I can think clearly because I'm breathing deeply when working out and sleeping well. I'm in a good mood because my hormones are functioning the way they're supposed to. My shoulders drop when I look in the mirror because I love what I see from my progress. I feel confident. I can eat whatever I want, wear whatever I want. Before you go comparing yourself, remember that movie stars and models have to only work for 2 weeks and have trainers to help them for those 2 weeks to look good on camera. Then the rest of the time they chill. Go easy on yourself and your expectations because these are going to be an entire lifestyle change with long-lasting results that naturally integrates into your everyday life without that extreme sudden change. You can add one thing from this list every week over time if this is not immediately natural for you. Next is to stop needing motivation. This is supposed to be as boring and natural as brushing your teeth. It's second nature. There's nothing glamorous about this. It's simply something your body needs to do, like using the bathroom. You are going to do it anyway. It makes you feel good. You have this sense of relief after you're done. I also want you to remember that our goals may not be the same. My goal is to have a smaller waist, leaner legs that are toned while looking smooth, and getting rid of cellulite. Things are changing as I age into my 30s. I used to be able to eat a whole cake and then have a 22-inch waist the next morning. That was just 2 years ago. I'm not doing that much differently. I guess it's genetic. This was long after I've had a baby. I'm 5'2.5", but when I gain a little bit of weight, it makes an even bigger difference and is more obvious. Here's my current condition. I hit 30 years old this year and I'm maintaining what I have, along with trying to lose weight predominantly in my midsection. Technically, I'm in pretty decent shape, but I tend to gain weight around my waist and thighs. I also have slightly chubbier legs than the average body that it's supposed to be healthy at my size. I'm going back to this lean legs program I did before that worked. And also I could sit here and criticize my body all day and go on for days and days talking about what I don't like, what I want to work on, but I just gotta do it. I will get into that lean legs program some more when mentioning workouts in the next video. This is just to highlight my goals for the before and after so you guys know where I'm starting from. A lot of people after 25 or around their late 20s stop developing their muscles. They stop developing entirely. Essentially, when you are done growing and are a full adult, it's up to you to maintain your muscle mass. I've seen a lot of my childhood friends either get in top shape or they blow up and gain a ton of weight even when they didn't have kids yet. They just didn't take care of themselves. The point is to keep your muscles healthy. This is going to be a conscious effort as you get older because your muscle mass deteriorates a percentage every year. Find out where your weight gain comes from. My weight gain comes from stress and eating processed garbage. The only processed food I found myself reaching for is dessert from the grocery store. I still eat a decadent dessert with a ton of sugar, but 9 times out of 10, I can tell you what dessert has processed additives after I've eaten. I feel awful and bloated. Not every dessert is created equally. Here's how I eat dessert and keep a healthy weight. A lot of grocery stores will have Entenmann's and pastries that are mass-produced on their shelves and at their bakery. Avoid these. They have processed ingredients to give them a longer shelf life, and these preservatives mess up the way your stomach works. This is why you feel bloated and where probiotics come in. I'll also mention that in a future video because I have a whole supplements video of what helped me, what didn't, is it actually worth it. And here are what sweets to eat instead. Go to the gourmet bakery or restaurant. They have a high standard of producing fine quality meats from scratch with people who are usually highly trained. There's a quote, "Ne mangez pas de dessert à moins qu'il ne soit extraordinaire," or "do not eat dessert unless it's extraordinary." This is where one should splurge, in my personal opinion. Dessert should never be mediocre. I don't care about white sugar, flour, how many calories it has, simply enjoy. Or you can make everything from scratch at home. When you have the standard ingredients to make fresh bread, pizza dough, cake mix, noodles, cookie dough, in other words, flour, salt, yeast, baking powder, sugar, etc., invest in these. Invest in yourself and your cooking skills. A lot of bread recipes are very simple from all over the world. Flour, water, and olive oil in a pan. And you can even get boba from the store already made and make your own milk tea with lactate milk and matcha at home. You can make ice cream at home. It tastes way better when you make it and when it has these richer ingredients, and you save money. You can add more of what you like. You'll know what's in your food, understand the shelf life of how food is meant to last, how long it's supposed to. You'll notice it go bad right away. You can be creative in tweaking your recipes. You can design the portions to be perfect for yourself or the whole family. One recipe can have a million versions of results by the various details you add or take away. Here are my daily eating commandments. Number 1, do not snack. Sometimes you might just be thirsty, so drink water. If your stomach is grumbling, eat. Number 2, only eat when you're hungry. Wait, indulge when necessary. Sometimes I notice a lot of people who just have accessibility to food, so say they'll have food around the house and they'll make it. Sometimes if the food is available and they just see it with their eyes, they want to eat, or they'll be doing something else and eating something when they're not even hungry. You should eat slow. Take your time when eating. Not necessarily eat slow, but eat at a moderate pace, where my boyfriend will come home from work and he will inhale food because he's so hungry. I get it if you're starving, but then he has the hiccups. I already started eating before he got home, but he finished his food even though he came home later. He's done long before I'm done. I'm still on my first plate and he's getting seconds. On this same day, I started eating what is typically a late lunch, early dinner. He came home earlier than usual because he had a different kind of work day. In the midst of my eating, I got up to greet him, have a little chit chat, asking how his day was. And then when I sat down, I wasn't hungry anymore. I just put a lot on my plate, more than the portion that I needed. I was actually full, but I was finishing my plate. You are better off asking for seconds, starting with a smaller portion, and then going back if you're still actually hungry. Waiting will help you realize this. Taking your time, eating slow, breaking down your food properly. I don't care if you do something else while you eat, but just remember that if you are doing something else, only eat when you're hungry. Number 3, when you are hungry, start with nutritious foods first. People say that the worst time to go to the grocery store is when you're hungry because you want to add everything to your cart. For me, this is actually the best time to go to the grocery store because I am hunting down all of the nutritional foods, and that's the time when I want to add the most of those into my cart. Number 4, do your best to eat early. I'm going to get more into the schedule of how I eat and what helps me feel less bloated, feel less puffy. Literally, my eyes will be so puffy in the morning if I do feel bloated and eat too late in the night. In addition, I sleep better when I'm a little bit hungry. In case I do sleep really, really late, I'll get more into that, but I don't want to be up late. So when I eat late, I end up staying up for longer, and then my whole schedule is ruined. Here's what I actually eat. This is my diet, and this might be considered a little bit extreme for some. Originally, I thought I ate the carnivore diet, which I absolutely do not, by the amount of sugar I have and by the amount of things that I have that are just not meat. So I found out that I have what's called the grizzly bear diet. The first thing I like to eat are eggs. Always have different kinds of eggs from different markets, whether it's the Asian market and they're the more orange eggs, or I'll have duck eggs, quail eggs, mix it up. But soft-boiled eggs are my favorite, the grade A eggs. Sunny side up is good. Chicken periods are always good for you in any variation. The biggest thing on my list are meat and fish. I will have steak day to day. If I am cooking for my family, for my sweetheart, I'll cook seafood and lamb. There will be some days or some weeks where I will have protein and rice. That's my go-to when I'm by myself. If I'm with my sweetheart and I want to share food, I'll add curry. So it's protein, rice, and curry. Originally, I used to be very, very boring with my food because I love the natural taste of meat. I love the way when it's cut, when it's fresh. If you've been hunting before or if you go to a really good butcher, it tastes very different and it has a lot of flavor. You can add salt and add all these different spices that bring out the flavor, but personally I just like the natural way that it tastes. I will have my meat cooked rare at restaurants, or I'll cook it rare myself. Growing up with a very natural and simple taste to appreciate what vegetables actually taste like, how they're supposed to taste, which is also what destroyed me for eating at the grocery store. When I had a farm, was the healthiest I've ever been in my life. I was so lean, I was so strong. I'll get into that a little bit more later. I know not everyone has access to a ton of land. Next in my diet is leafy greens. I'm not someone who likes to add a lot of spices, but what I will reach for is sauce. I will make an aioli by myself with some olive oil, mayonnaise, a clove or two of garlic, depending on how spicy I want to make it. I love Dijon. I love things that are spicy. I love sriracha, and then I love goma sesame sauce. So if you're Asian, or if you tried East Asian food, you will know that sesame sauce is everywhere, especially on our salads. But there's this really oily sesame sauce that I don't like. That's what I grew up with. But what I like is the really thick, creamy sesame sauce, which is the Japanese one. I love Japanese food. Growing up, I would always eat Japanese food. No, I'm not Japanese. When I do reach for leafy greens, I tend to get the really dark leafy greens because I heard that it helps with bruises and blood flow circulation, because I used to have iron deficiency. As I got older, I don't, because I eat properly. Before, it was because I was starving myself. Next are oats. I'll have this very rarely, but I don't really reach for it because I'm just not used to it, but I love oats. Next are divine desserts. The final thing is coffee. I drink an insane amount of coffee literally here. This is my second one today. Recently, I cut out rice because I wanted to see results faster in my diet. As I'm filming this, I recently started eating rice again. What I noticed after one day is that I have a lot more weight sitting on my waist because of it, but I still have a waist, but it's just the outer parts, the love handles is what it adds. It sits on my hips, literally just sits on the top. The last few weeks I have cut out the rice. I lost weight so fast because I was just eating high protein. I look so lean. It was crazy to me because I did not believe that this was how fast it worked. I tested my own rules that I used to do all the time. The reason that I got back into this is because I wasn't in a very stable situation. Now that I am in a stable situation, I'm taking care of myself better. But during those resting periods, rice with sunny side eggs or meat or high protein is my go-to comfort food. I know a lot of people are very picky about their rice depending on what part of the globe they grew up or what environment they have, but typically I eat Japanese rice. Right now I'm eating the Hitomi brand, and it's the plain shorter cut, the broken rice. Every now and again I will add curry to my protein and rice bowls. Once again, depending on what part of the world you live on, depends on the type of curry you have, if it's vegetable based or if it's more spice based, something coconut based. There are so many different types. I typically eat the Japanese vegetable based. This is my comfort food when my body is the happiest, feeling completely nourished. Chiefly, I stick to a high protein diet with some spicy sauce and desserts sprinkled in there. Eating clean is what will save you. I accidentally stumbled upon a female bodybuilder's YouTube account once, and she stated something that a lot of really in shape people I know live by. She did not work out for 2 or 3 days because she had some procedure that she had to undergo, but her abs stayed simply from eating clean, eating nutritiously. This is also my savior in the long term. I notice when I want to stay in shape, eat nutritious foods wherever you go. Order the high protein, even if it does have animal fat if you're at a restaurant. For me, as I go back to the way I originally would eat, the trick is to keep it simple. If you want something comforting, warm it up. You want something filling, add carbs or leafy vegetables on top, and drink water. You can always change it to lentils and chickpeas if you don't like rice. You want to add flavor, add salt. It's a great electrolyte. Add spices. Limit yourself on grease and MSG, but not the actual nutrition and the healthy traditions. Here are some tips to reduce bloat. Number 1 is to chew your food. I used to read so many different types of magazines to try to lose weight because I was going through something, and now I just eat whatever I want, but nutritious food. The first thing that I actually tried on how to not be bloated in a healthy way was to actually chew your food, and a nutritionist said to chew 40 times. I know a lot of people who will not even chew their food, and then you see the shape of their food like a snake in their throat, which is crazy to me. And they will complain, when I chew 40 times, it turns to absolute mush. It doesn't necessarily mean to masticate a certain number of times. It just means to actually break down your food, savor and taste your food, because that will change how fast you eat. It really bugs me when people eat super fast. I actually eat naturally really slow, so this never crosses my mind, but I do see people inhale their food, especially a lot of boys. Sometimes people just need to slow down. If you're hungry and you're hungry, eat, but take a breath. Next is to avoid straws. I read in the book How to Be Parisian, they said avoid straws. Straws are for children because drink straight from the glass. Drink your own water bottles. Make sure that they're the sipping kinds, not the straw kinds. That adds a lot of air that's unnecessary. That's such a small thing, but it does make a difference for me. Next is to avoid MSG or too much salt. There are lots of Asian places that call themselves Asian places. I obviously, if you have eyes, I'm Asian. It's not racist. There are lots of places in the United States that call themselves Chinese food. A lot of people will go out after they're drinking, look for something greasy, find Chinese food. It's not actually Chinese, it's actually American. And then there's a Vietnamese person who's running the place, and then there's a Latino guy in the kitchen who is cooking the food. So it's crazy out here what people are calling Chinese food, or what seems to pass as Chinese food in America. Same for all different culture food. Like Italian food here is not Italian food, and it makes me sad because Italian food's amazing and it's hard to find a good place. I'll have one linked below, a really good restaurant if you're in Los Angeles. A lot of these places, when you go out, is full of MSG. It's this weird chemical that some scientists found that said our body loves it for some reason, and it makes you feel more full, but it's just collecting excess water that your body doesn't need. It also makes you feel a little too full or sick afterwards. So take care of your stomach. You don't want to feel sick. It's not about feeling just bloated. It's not good for your body to feel overstuffed. And this is something that you also need to manage, understanding when you're full. Next is to sweat it out. This actually helps you get rid of all the salt, all the excess water specifically. This also helps get rid of hangovers. Personally, I don't drink alcohol. It's not good for so many parts of your body. If you're a man, it gives you boobs. It also makes you super moody because it has a lot of phytoestrogen. Same with soybeans. I try to avoid soybeans because I get super mad after I pick on everything wrong with my day. Sweating it out is what will help you, and I highly recommend doing some sort of cardio. It can be low impact, it can be speed walking, it can be running. I love running, but I can't do it because it makes my muscles too bulky. If you see Olympic runners, they're not lifting weights. Their muscles are literally from just them pushing themselves off the ground. That's incredible. So I like to do low impact walking. Here are some tips to stop eating when you know you're not hungry. The first one is a really extreme one. I do not recommend this because it's a waste of money, it's a waste of food, and it's a waste of good perfume. But I heard that in the early 2000s, if you worked at Vogue and you were trying to be thin, if you've seen Devil Wears Prada, the clackers are the ones who wear heels that go clack, 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 clack in the marble lobbies. I was listening to the director's commentary version of The Devil Wears Prada because it's one of my favorite movies. They said that they would spray perfume on their salad. They would eat a little bit of it and then spray perfume so that they wouldn't touch the rest of it. If you want to try that, go ahead. But I feel like it's such a waste because if I don't eat a salad, I'll take it home and then give it to my boyfriend. Next is to deep clean your teeth. This is something that helps me cut it off. When I feel like I want to finish my eating schedule for the day, I floss really deeply, really well. I feel really proud and I want to maintain it, and I'll use mouthwash, make sure that my pearly whites are flawless. Do this every night. Something else that helps me is using strong toothpaste. I have a Marvis review linked below, and the reason why I use Marvis toothpaste, I know it's a little bit more expensive, but they are really good quality. If you go to Italy, if you can, stock up and take a bunch of them in your suitcase because they're only $1 in Italy. I think they're an Italian company, but they were invented for smokers. I used to be a cigarette smoker many years ago in my early 20s. I regret it. I also didn't put on sunscreen. There were a lot of stupid things I did in my early 20s, but now I'm a cigar smoker. I enjoy Davidoffs. I enjoy various cigars. The taste, to get it out, champagne and black tea, any type of bubbles. So if you drink Coca-Cola, you'll cleanse your palate from the cigar. But also this Marvis toothpaste was created for smokers, and that's how strong it is. Even their mouthwash concentrate is insanely strong that your eyes will water when you open it. I'll have reviews of those linked below. It's a concentrate, so you're supposed to add water to it. If you use a strong toothpaste, you can taste how fresh your breath is. You'll want to maintain that, and you're not going to want to eat. Especially considering I have a huge sugar addiction, and sugar attracts one of the smelliest plaques, which makes your breath stink really bad. Next is your eating schedule will help guide you. The later I personally eat in the evening, the more bloated I will be the next morning. My ideal schedule in a perfect world would be to eat a huge lunch at 2 p.m. to 4 p.m, so somewhere within that range, then have a small bite of something sweet at 6, or have a smaller meal, but definitely stop eating before 7 p.m. It doesn't hurt to have one small bite for me at 9 or 10 p.m. if my boyfriend, say for example, he is the king of having midnight snacks, midnight sweets. He's in incredible shape and it's really easy for him to naturally be in shape. So he has abs all year long, and he'll eat the little tart, but he's very good about watching what he eats and only eating when he's full. If he's not full, he will not touch it. He'll fight you and say, no, I'm not full. Don't bother me. So I learned from him that it's okay. If you want a little sweet, get a nosh. A notion never hurt anybody, and nothing is ever set in stone. Everything is flexible. If I do have breakfast, I'll have a soft-boiled egg. I tend to not have breakfast, which is not a good thing. But when I had a 9 to 5, when I'd go into an office for my full-time job, I would bring 2 soft-boiled eggs for lunch, and I felt like I could take on the world. I felt so strong. I would drink a ton of water to push it down and really feel full. Coffee is unfortunately also what fuels me, specifically 2 to 3 macchiati daily. I have at least 2 coffees daily, first thing in the morning, and the third is only a recent addition because I have longer days working 3 jobs currently. If I eat a pastry first thing in the morning or eat a full meal, I feel so lazy, I feel groggy, I need protein and coffee for energy. Do as I say, not as I do. Black coffee is actually good for you, but if you have too much of it, it's not good. Also, if you add a lot of sugar to it, it's especially not good. I sweat it out at the gym every day to make sure I can sleep properly, which is something I force myself to do, but I'm so used to it, it's just natural. And my sugar and coffee addiction are the things I let slide considering how disciplined I am. I do not eat sugar day to day. Aside from the natural sugar in vegetables and rice, I'll have a whole week once a month of rice with a protein, but that's it. I'm pretty regimented. I might have 1 or 2 big meals depending on my cycle syncing schedule. Intermittent fasting, I think personally for me is fine. I heard a lot of people are doing it, and it's a very ancient concept that works, but for women, being restrictive depends on where you are in your cycle. For instance, if you're in the follicular phase, this is when you feel your lightest. You'll reach for the salad, you want to go on a long run. It's easier for you to say no to extra food, but in your luteal phase, it might look a little different. You might need more proteins, more beans, more something. I have an entire post on that, linked below, you can watch after this, on what to eat and right workouts during different phases of your cycle. I usually have 1 big meal and then a small dessert later in the evening, but most of the time no dessert at all. So if I'm hungry late at night, it either means I'm up too late, not sleeping on time, or I did not nourish my body properly when I had my largest meal. So I got to keep this in mind for next time, and it's a matter of listening to my body. This is also based upon what's available at home. I try to keep as many nutritious foods high in protein as possible, with the exception of gourmet sweets if I do go out and buy a huge box from Victor and Venice. A lot of people I know are against white flour and rice, but rice is so essential in my diet. Telling an Asian person to not eat rice is like telling my African boyfriend not to eat couscous. It would be a crime to fight my DNA. Which brings me to my next tip. Eat what your DNA loves. This is something that works for me and might not apply to everyone. My entire body composition changed once I started visiting the Asian market again. I haven't been there since I was a child with my mom, but one day I got so sick of what the local North American grocery store was selling for multiple reasons. Everything became so basic and monotonous because I love natural flavors without adding too much spice, without marinating, without doing all these extra things. But also, a lot of grocery stores are really messed up, speaking from a farmer's perspective. On top of that, I started dating my sweetheart who is from North Africa, and he adds spices to everything. He's an incredible chef. I have a full vlog on that about Ramadan. I'll have it linked below. He was interested in my culture's food, so I went back to my roots cooking food I grew up with to share them with him, and I actually lost weight even though I was eating more than ever. I'm talking about the nutritious dishes I grew up with, not necessarily the packaged snacks. Those I blew up like a balloon. So even though I did have some of those too, and this blew my mind and made me think back to my farming days. For those of you who are unfamiliar with my channel, I used to be a farmer, owned a few acres in the middle of nowhere, and raised a ton of animals. We were technically cattle farmers, cattle ranchers, and had 40 cows along with other furry friends. One interesting thing I learned about farming is when you purchase a cow, you had to find out its breed, of course, because this not only dictates the purchase price and how much you can sell it for in future, but also what to feed it. There might be farmers who would fatten their cows up with corn feed that's actually not good for the cow in the long run. It's processed. Same goes for humans. The reason they do it is because it adds more weight so that they can sell it for more, but it tends to be unhealthy fat. You want to feed the cow what the original farmer fed it with the type of grass its DNA likes it grew up with. If it grew up in Kentucky, the heifer probably prefers perennial rye. If it grew up in California, she might have a proclivity for zoysia or Bermuda grass. They end up living longer, gaining more healthy and lean muscle, and then sell for more at auction. You also breed better cows together. So I feel like this also can be applied to humans. I also want to point out that there are a lot of cultures that naturally have a lot of fatty food, that cook food unnecessarily twice, or it used to have some historical connotation, historical reason for why they did it, or just really different foods that are not that accessible. And this is where I will draw the line and say I will either forego it in my daily routine and have it every once in a while, or keep it in moderation. It's up to you how you want to feel and look. I do not want to look cut. I still want to appear soft, but a bit more lean in some places. Some people like to refry their food, and that can be comforting to you, but it's probably better off once in a while, so use your discernment and opt for what is nutritious first. The next point is working out doesn't help me lose weight. Here's what I do instead. I noticed that I've tried so many workouts and I noticed that they don't all help me lose weight. It simply makes me hungrier also in the long run, a majority of them, and they also make me more muscular, more bulky. It depends on the type of workout I'm doing and what phase of the cycle I'm in. There's only one that makes me shed fat and excess water. I'll get into that in the workout video. There are different variations on how to do it, and I'll explain it more in detail because there's so much to it. I'll have an entire post dedicated to feminine workouts that keep you strong and lean. What I have found out that works is eating in a deficit. There was a guy I heard about who ate Wendy's for a month and he still lost weight. Every single day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Wendy's. He was trying to prove that it's not what you ate, it's the amount you're eating, so your calorie intake. I don't count calories. I used to and it really helped, but I felt really weak. I was literally starving myself. You don't want to starve. We have a tendency to overeat because of easy accessibility. Sometimes we're simply not being mindful. Pay attention to your cravings, particularly if you have a specific craving. Nutritionists found that when you are craving chocolate, for example, it means that you're actually in need of magnesium. You might actually be starving yourself of a type of nutrition, creating stress and hormonal imbalances you might not be aware of. So if you feel hungry, it's because you are hungry. If you feel thirsty or dry, drink actual water. I know so many people who drink juice that has a ton of sugar and they say it has water in it. Drink clear, clean water. It's good for you. Stop thinking you need to flavor your water. You need to flavor everything you touch. You need to enjoy simple things the way they are naturally and understand that they are good for you. Your body loves it. It might not be tasty, but there's this bodybuilder who said, if it's delicious, if it tastes good, put it down, something like that. Personally, I don't believe in restricting yourself to that point. I think actually enjoy what you eat. I am more excited to eat when I know the food is going to be good. I think everybody is. You don't want things to be totally bland, but you don't want things to be totally spiced all the time. Next is listen to your body. If you feel sick, if you have a headache or too much pressure in your stomach, take a day off. Rest well. Same goes for workouts. Rest well. Eat a comforting dish of healthy meat, rice, vegetables, and water. Fuel your body properly. If your body is craving pasta, eat pasta. Your body is telling you something, so do not fight it. You might think that, oh, I'm on a diet, I need to do this, I need. No, you can always start over the next day or the day after that, working your way up as opposed to a drastic alteration. You'll be really proud of yourself and your results, so you keep wanting to maintain that. It might seem boring, but it's like taking a shower. It's just something you do, becomes part of your daily life. When you build habits as second nature as taking a shower, it means it's now a part of your lifestyle. Next, vegetables are not perfect for me. So I love vegetables and I'll eat them if you put them in front of me. There are so many perspectives on how healthy they are, where some nutritionists say they are good fiber that take up space in your stomach to take the edge off hunger. I personally don't care about fiber, but they say you need it. Keto people will say they're carbs because they are. Carbs are sugar. Sugar is actually poison for the human body. It's crazy that sugar is legal. Same with caffeine, but humans like what we like. My take on vegetables is I can go without them on a regular basis and prefer protein alone or protein with rice. The rice is simply a comfort thing because I love fresh hot rice. When I do add vegetables, they're in in the form of dark leafy greens or mushrooms because I like extra iron. I hear things about spinach being high in calcium, contributing to kidney stones and other terrible things. They always say, oh, you're not supposed to eat this because blah blah blah. Nutrition is one of the weirdest open-ended sciences where they never fully know, and we've been living as humans eating everything forever, but some rules apply to some people. A lot of people say this and this is bad for you, and a lot of people will be allergic to something, and then a lot of people won't be. So you can never win with all these opinions. So simply do what works for you. In the case of vegetables, I like meat because it's filling and helps me feel energized for longer. Eating a salad makes me hungry again in an hour, and I eat it when I want to stay sane. Say for example, I like to work on an empty stomach or feel light so I don't feel groggy and I can focus on my work. I will eat a salad so that I can keep on working. Next is to wear fitted clothing. Get used to seeing your body for the way it is and dress for how you want it to be. Say you have a bikini. Your goal is to have abs and work your way up to having the perfect midriff that you like, the legs that you like, a back that looks strong with the arch. Work your way up to the size next up that you want. Do it step by step, do it slowly. You want to be as strong as possible. You don't want to feel weak and shaky when you're trying on these clothes. You actually want to feel good about yourself. Surprise, surprise. For me, when I wear low-rise jeans, I don't like when I have flab rolling over. When I bend over, there are lines in my stomach. There are always lines in my stomach even when I'm at my best shape, but it's more prominent when I wear certain clothes. So it forces me to get back in shape if I want to keep wearing these cute clothes. So try on the clothes you want to wear to see your progress and where you need to be. When I reach my goal shape, I maintain the look and feel by consistently living the way I do when I'm in my best shape. When I see those clothes, I think I want to get back to that figure, or I want to stay in that figure. Going shopping for your dream body, if you've reached it before, is more attainable. Knowing you already reached it before, it's easy and definitely doable. Your clothes are the reinforcement of that. It also is a reminder that if your clothes are starting not to fit, you have to reassess what you're doing differently to get back on track. When I personally wear looser clothes, I have a tendency to get too comfortable. I start putting my legs up on the sofa and I'm more casual about everything in my regime. I sleep a little later. It creates a whole lifestyle for me, for some reason, of casualty. When I'm dressed in a proper outfit, I act entirely like a different person. If I'm wearing a silk dress with a belt or cotton shorts that are fitted at the waist, I'm more careful to not move around in ways that it creates creases or creates stains. I'm less reckless, I sit straight and I move more gracefully. The reason why I'm wearing these really elegant pajamas that are very luxurious for this video is because I just wanted to get started on making this video. So you set yourself up for the action, which brings me to this next step: get started. Even if you don't have all the goal clothes, all the goal bikinis, all the goal outfits that you want to wear because you're not in shape yet, just get started, which is the whole point of why I'm in this. I didn't deliberately do this, but I wanted to get started on making this video because I've been working on this video for so long. I've been writing this out for a couple years now. I wanted to make it perfect. I wanted to present it the right way, that it has the most information, the most value for what I've learned. This is just a small percentage of what I've absorbed over the years, but it's the highly productive percentage, which brings me to why I'm wearing these pajamas is because I just wanted to get started on filming it. I could have filmed this in a bikini and said, hey guys, I'm in the best shape of my life, but I'll show you different bits of that still. But I just wanted to let you know that getting started is the most important part. I know this was a lot, but it was because this was years in the making. Let me know what works for you in the comments below. If you disagree or have more information to add, we all could use it. You never know, it might change someone's life for the better when you help out positively in the comments below. Remember, knowledge is not power. Action is power. Apply these to actually see the results, and you can have all the information in the world, but if you do not get started, it will not make a difference. If it doesn't make a difference right away, stick to it. You need to have a regime for a sustained period and make tiny tweaks. Nobody goes to the gym expecting to lose 10 pounds overnight or gain 10 pounds of muscle overnight. It's a process, so trust it and do it works for you while staying sane and staying healthy.
Visitez le site web stylebygia.com et inscrivez-vous pour recevoir gratuitement des idées de tenues vestimentaires chaque semaine et des guides de soins personnels. Suivez-la sur son compte Instagram, la Gia Garcia, pour des nouveautés quotidiennes et lisez son blog, lagiagarcia.com, pour une exploration profonde. Merci.
Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.